to flirt with that stuff.
Wait, so you're saying Hitler was gay?
100%.
What?
Even Sneako, who dabbles in this world a lot, by the way, whether it's anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, anti-LGBTQ plus conspiracy theories, hating on gay people, hating on trans people, all that kind of shit. Yeah, he's lost in the sauce, and he's even sitting there, he's like, wait, what?
Palestine's Central Nation Affairs correspondent today in Yemen. Thank you for His Excellency Prime Minister Professor Abdul Aziz bin Habtoor of Yemen for inviting me to speak. Here's Jackson Hinkle Dink, former Hassan Abi head, MAGA communist grifter, talking to Ansarullah.
If you're wondering about the former Hassan Abi head, that's, I think, some deep lore. I think if you go way back, Jackson Hinkle, because he did this to me as well, he would drop into other kind of leftist streamers to just kind of like, I don't know if he was feeling the waters or he was just trying to say hey, but Jackson Hinkle dropped a couple of times into my chat just to be like, you know, say hello, say that like I'm an anti-imperialist, I'm fighting the imperial core kind of stuff, and you're like, okay, neat. And this is when he had like a much smaller channel before he like absolutely exploded rapidly. But there was also logs of him doing that in Hassan's channel, being basically like a sub and a subscriber, and you know, basically being a whole like you're my daddy, Hassan, before becoming obviously the biggest voice for you know, the anti-imperialism.
With the amazing,
yeah, he used to chat hall.
We understand that you have the unconditional right to resist.
I still can't believe this is real life, by the way.
That is ongoing in Gaza, especially by doing what you all have done, blockading the Red Sea.
Everybody mad at this needs to be mad at themselves. The Western left is so vacuous and disorganized that Hinkle is filling the void you left behind is so stupid. I'm sorry. I completely disagree with that. He's a grifter. This is what he does best. He knows exactly how to infiltrate these kinds of circles and present himself as an unconditional ally. What do you think? Like, there aren't people on the left who are even more popular than he is, let's be real, that have been advocating for Palestinian emancipation? No. I mean, I literally fucking, I interviewed a dude, a TikToker from Yemen fairly early on. It's not that. It's just that he is very good at infiltrating these circles. That's it. I don't think this is like...
Well, it actually goes a little bit deeper than that. You could pull it up, but there's a lot of threads about how Hinkle and a lot of individuals in those circles for talking gray zone media, often invited to, you know, a variety of different countries to speak on their behalf. Caleb Maupin, really good example, often, you know, brought over to Russia to speak on, you know, issues like Russian elections on the behalf, and saying that I happen to be, you know, an American media personality here to speak to you and give you an opinion of what an American thinks on your country. Same thing can be said for the gray zone people in Syria, very similar situation, as well as Ben Norton now, you know, traveling to China and saying, hey, by the way, I'm here as an American citizen, but I now live here, and I just want to tell you on state media that you happen to be doing good things, America doing bad things. That's pretty much what a lot of these people in these kind of fields enjoy doing.
Because the left is vacuous or whatever the so I disagree with that. I'm also not shocked that it happened though, because, you know, his whole shit is just like boosting his profile by latching on to what he considers to be popular causes. Also saying the left is so vacuous and in shambles.
About Hinkle, he went to Russia alongside HARASSMENT. Alexander Dugin,
Professor
of course.
Dugin, it's an honor to meet you.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You see what I mean? This is exactly what I was just talking about. Yes. This is not them being more organized than the left of America or anything like that. This is them clearly working within well-financed and also very, very well-promoted channels. Yeah.
Transgender Institute, because Nazis weren't all transgenders and gays, you know?
Okay, wait, sorry, I gotta rewind here. I think we're already starting out pretty heated.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, I just...
I haven't even gotten sneakers.
1 minute and 49-second clip of Hinkle I'm going to drop in here for no particular reason.
To limit, it's like when you start flirting around with like Hitlerian stuff, you're going to kind of go down the path of it's like that, you know? We all know how it ended for Hitler.
Damn, he's dropping F slurs just right out of the gate. That's pretty intense. Pretty aggressive language there, Jackson Hinkle, freedom fighter.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, I just don't think it's a good path to go down. Hitler, at the end of the war, he killed himself. He's a fat.
Allegedly.
Whoa. Seems intense. Seems a little counter-revolutionary. Jackson.
Well, and he allegedly didn't burn the Transgender Institute because Nazis weren't all transgenders and gays, you know? I just think that it's...
Oh, he keeps saying, you know? Common knowledge, you know? Even Sneako, who dabbles in this world a lot, by the way, whether it's anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, anti-LGBTQ plus conspiracy theories, hating on gay people, hating on trans people, all that kind of shit. Yeah, he's lost in the sauce. And he's even sitting there, he's like, wait, what? you gotta help me out. Like, just fill me in a little bit more of where we're going with this one. You know, I'm not opposed to this whole kind of, you know, idea yet. I need to learn more.
I don't think it's smart to flirt with that stuff.
Wait, so you're saying Hitler was gay?
100%.
What the fuck?
100%. They were all transgenders and gays.
The Nazis?
Yes. That's why they burned that Hirschfeld Institute, whatever it's called. They burned the
Hirschfeld tried to start
Okay, so if you don't know, Sneako, he's really, really anti-Semitic, and he's been really ramping it up. He's posted, and I've watched his videos on this topic before, he's posted videos about how Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld, because he was Jewish, yes, and he was both a Jewish German at the time where, again, the Nazis were, the first mass book burning was of Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld's Institute. This is often pointed out to show that there are parallels between how a lot of forms of fascism will eventually start to other groups, whether they be Jewish people, whether they be gay people, whether they be Roma people, whether they be disabled people, and start to use them, obviously, to explain what they consider to be the ills of society, not actually point out the actual causes of why there might be financial or economic collapses, but start blaming those things on certain groups, such as Jewish people and Jewish bankers and the Jewish people controlling the banks and all that kind of stuff. Or it's degeneracy. It's degeneracy coming to us from the gay people who are targeting children, and all these gays who are targeting children are trying to manipulate and change them. Or it can even be the targeting of trans people, as yes, it was pointed out that Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld was the first person to ever perform bottom surgery, and the individual who received it, she may have been killed by the Nazis directly, or she would have been put in prison where she died, which again was a trans woman, and one of those situations where the Nazis did target queer folk. It's well documented. To deny that is a form of basically Holocaust denial at this point. There was a reason there was an armband and a designation chosen distinctly for folk who were gay, and by larger extension queer people who they didn't fully understand. It's why it's part of the Holocaust Encyclopedia at this point. It's why people who try to go down this road when they're doing pure transphobia, such as J.K. Rowling or Glinner, end up hitting a wall when all of a sudden their own fans are like, oh, whoa, we can't deny the mass book burnings of the Nazis, though. That would be pretty fucked up. Don't want to go down that road. So on that side, you got Sneako, who has, again, spoken out about Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld. He thinks that's part of a larger Jewish conspiracy, a larger anti-Semitic Jewish conspiracy. That's the angle that Sneako comes, and he believes that the degeneracy and the promotion of pornography and the promotion of, decadent lifestyles, gay lifestyles, all that kind of stuff, that is deeply intertwined with this Jewish conspiracy theory that he believes, this anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that a lot of people on the far right end up going down that rabbit hole of. But right now, he's in conflict with Jackson Hinkle's own extreme version of this, in which he believes all the Nazis to be queers, all of them, because he hates queer people, and so he's trying to tarnish all queer people by saying every single Nazi was a gay person, and that's that Hitler was gay. So that's the two schools of thought that are basically facing off against each other right here.
Implementing transgenderism, and then they burned his books, and they
It's just like two guys that have different opinions on the optics of defending Hitlerian politics here.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, or I would say manipulating Hitlerian politics. Okay, so we understand Nazis bad, so maybe we'll say just all of the Nazis gay, because we don't like gay people, right? Well, no, because I also don't like Jewish people, and I want to be able to say that it was a Jewish gay person that actually was... No, we can't go down that road completely, all right? We have to... Let's work on this a little bit. We can fix this, okay? There's still time.
the doctors within Hirschfeld said that it was burned down because the Nazis had all of their private information in the institute because they were.
That's why they burned it down. I thought they burned it down because they were trying to start.
The only
Again, wild conspiracy theories flying. So now they weren't targeted because they were queer. They were targeted because they had dirt on other Nazis. And they were like, oh, okay, so that's like the super gay institute, all right? The Institute of Sexology. They're doing, advanced level gay shit there. And they happen to know, and they have the numbers of all the Nazis who are gay. So then the gay Nazis had to attack the other gay Nazis who I guess were also Nazis by default, in order to destroy the evidence of gay, while they themselves remain gay, to have a gay empire, and that gay empire was going to try and take over the world, kind of thing. That's, yeah.
only source on record from within the hospital said they burned it because the Nazis were all going there. I mean, why would they not burn it?
I'll be honest, this is the first time I've heard this. I have seen a lot of conspiracy theories here on the internet. I've been down the rabbit holes. I've been to places you wouldn't believe, seen things that are strange and unusual, usually very racist. This one's wild. This is that, so the Nazis were all gay, and the Institute of Sexology, that was targeted by the Nazis, by the way, and it was the first mass book burning, the pictures of which you've probably seen. It's usually the ones that are shown, like, yes, the Nazis did burn books. They were doing that because they knew that the Nazis were gay. They had evidence of their gaydom, and then they had to stop the gayery, basically by attacking the Institute. Insofar as, I don't understand how this one works, because if all the Nazis are gay, but they also targeted the gays, but they targeted the gays because they didn't want the gays to out that they were gay, but then they were all gay, and they had a gay empire, why would that matter at that point? If the default was gay, if it was like all the Nazis were gay because everyone was gay, because there was Nazi society is a gay society, okay? And they targeted and arrested, killed, murdered, and imprisoned gays. Why? Because they were going to out them as gays. I fail to see why that would matter, truly. that's the part where I get on this one, where I'm like, but why would that be something you wanted to hide? It's like everyone's gay, apparently, allegedly.
Any other one in Germany, why would they not attack?
This is so, I'm sorry. I gotta give him credit. This is the funniest and most creative way, I guess, do Holocaust/Nazi denialism. It's something that I've never heard before. He's saying that the Nazis were all trans and gay. And that's why they burned the largest like medical research conducted globally at the time on trans people
Institute
to cover
for
up the evidence that they were all
Sexualwissenschaft.
gay. That's awesome. This is not an uncommon claim about the Nazis, the gay part. I've fucking had not heard this before. Yeah, by the way, it is
I also just want to throw in there that, yes, of course, there were gay Nazis. I'm not saying that they didn't exist. They were a minority, but there were gay Nazis. And you can actually see what happened to higher up people who happened to be homosexual, thinking that they could be protected by being within the inner circle of Hitler. He had them killed. He murdered them because, again, gays were seen as degenerate. They weren't seen as part of the master race, right? The master race, of course, had to be Aryan, blonde, blue-eyed, white, as the driven snow. That's what was seen as the master race. Anything that was lesser than the master race, because that included being straight. Being straight was part of being part of the master race. Yeah. And you had to be the right kind of white, okay? You couldn't even be any kind of off-white. You can't be Roma people, any of these other groups. You had to be the one pure Aryan master race kind of white. And yeah, being gay was, I mean, this is pretty well documented. Again, maybe this is in, I don't know how deep, how 4chan you got to go with it before you get to the point where like, oh bro, did you know that all the Nazis were gay? Like all of them? Yeah. Then why did they persecute the gays? Because those gays were going to out the other gays. But they were all gay. If they were all gay, what are you outing? We're one of you? We're the same. No, we got to go after those people.
pretty funny to be like, yeah, the Nazis were bad, not because of the Holocaust, but because they were fake and gay. Oh, that's so sick. Transvestigating Hitler. Yeah. I mean, that's not awesome, but I get what you're talking about. Maybe I'm super brain broken, but I do think that's very funny. I mean, there were definitely gay Nazis, by the way. Yeah, Ernst Röhm. But like, It is
Ernst Röhm,
hilarious
someone
to think
everyone
that
always
like
talks
the worst part about the Nazi stuff is that they were suspected of being gay. Like that's the bad thing that they did. None of the other stuff. Trying to get people to stop being Nazis by telling them Hitler was woke. Oh,
that's
that's
funny.
so awesome. No, you don't understand. He was vegan, and that's gay as.
By the way, this isn't unique to Hinkle. This part, the all the Nazis were gay part is, yes. No, I don't think Jordan Peterson's going down that road. But look at that recent Jordan Peterson Destiny like debate, or listen to any right winger talk about whether or not they think that the Nazis were actually socialists. Oh, the Nazis were secretly socialist. You see, well, it's in the name, the National Socialists. It's in there, and they had what you could consider to be radical socialist policies. And it's like, no, not towards workers. What the fuck? The Nazis killed the socialists. That was one of the things they did. They not only opposed socialism, they fucking purged them. They purged the socialists. What are you talking about? This was not upholding workers' rights. There wasn't an outpouring and explosion of worker co-ops suddenly under the Nazi regime. If anything, it was very beneficial for the capitalists. It's why it's called hyper-capitalist. It's kind of why people always meme that it's the final phase of capitalism, because yes, it is inherently destructive. You can't have a genocidal hyper-capitalist nation that is bent on eventually accumulating the Lebensraum until the end of days, and think that is in any way going to like be something that isn't self-defeating. This is going to eventually be an anti-humanist project, because yes, I'm sorry, gay folk, they're part of humanity. They're going to appear as many times as you erase them. There's going to continuously be trans people who were Nazis, gay people who were Nazis. They're going to reappear in your own population over and over, even if you are purging them, even if you are actively like, we have to eliminate every single gay person because they're not part of the Ubermensch. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to ultimately get rid of gay people. They'll just keep on appearing, you know? It's just, again, yeah, it's how the poem starts. First they came for the who? Who did they come for first? Who was the first? Who was the first person they came for? The communists.
Plus,
They were pretty damn close to taking over the. I can't believe that a bunch of trannies and gay people were being able to.
Epic, so cool. Wow. Yeah, so I guess that kind of does hurt the theory if you're going to be like, wait, so you're saying that they were all gay and trans? Yes. Okay. But like they were pretty effective militarily. I mean, that's pretty much one of the reasons it became, you know, a world war. Yeah, that's one of the elements of that. After all, that they were actually very, very effective militarily. Well, I'm having a conflict here, because on one end, you know, the enemy is supposed to be powerless, but at the same time, all powerful. So is that where we're going with this? The gay people and trans people are like the world's some of the world's fiercest soldiers for Hitler, but at the same time are soft soy boys, femboys, cat girls, soy girls, whatever the current adage is, and the they-them army is effectively useless against the might of Russia, or whatever you're promoting right now. Okay. Yeah, until they weren't, exactly. Yeah. Although historically we should add that, yeah, the Spartans, whom, well, we could say the Spartans, the Greeks, the Romans, you can mention a lot of different societies that, especially a lot of like hardcore, super straight men, you know, super straight boys, so hetero that I high five kind of shit. They love talking about like, oh yeah, that's when men were men, right? Well, yeah, I guess in a lot of ways. Yeah. I mean, it was not uncommon for you to, you know, just help out your fellow comrade or soldier if it was a lonely night and you needed to stay warm. And of course it does get quite cold, especially if you didn't have access to all the fineries. You're maybe in the middle of a field preparing for battle or something, and then, you know, you all gotta get into a little pile there to make sure that everyone stays warm together. And then who knows what can come from there. Certainly manly stuff, very, very manly activities. Yes.
take over the world. Well, they're radicals, they're insane, but they're also funded by Anglo-Saxons, and you should never underestimate that. I mean, look at the Ukrainian military today. They're sending
I feel like Sneako's kind of confused, you know, like, how do you navigate this one? I mean, like, I get we're just swimming in conspiracy theories at this point, but now we're just all over the map, so I don't know who to hate.
women, they're sending trans. like literally spokesperson of the military is a trainee, and the Russian military is so.
What is happening? What the absolute fuck is going on here?
Also, I want to point that out because, like, unfortunately, post October 7th, Jackson Hinkle's account became monstrously huge. Like, I think it's now the largest political account on Twitter, in large part due to the fact that, yes, he was getting incredible amounts of traction as being someone with the, the flag of the U.S. in his profile name, blue check mark. Here's an American calling out the crimes of Israel on a regular basis. And look at him. He's calling them out and retweeting by a lot of people. And then there was this eventual, thankfully, pushback by a lot of people being like, by the way, Jackson Hinkle has absolutely no cares about the plight of Palestinians. He does not care about that. The man is a grifter through and through, and he's found a very lucrative way, like a literal war profiteer, of making tons of money by trying to say that this is the thing that he's cared about. But there's also a lot of clips that you can point towards him saying that he's actually a fan of Benjamin Netanyahu, and that he thinks that Benjamin Netanyahu and Putin are going to form strong alliances to usher in this new third way that is going to bring about the multipolar world in opposition to the American imperial core. And this is how it comes about. He was fine saying all that kind of shit back in the day, and now all of a sudden it's him saying that Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal of the highest order, and that I care deeply about the plight of the Houthis. I care about the plight of the Palestinians. I care about the plight of Syrians. Then that's always been what I'm about, and this is who I am, kind of shit. The guy is just as far right in terms of his speaking about queer folk as any single other MAGA chud you will ever find. It's part and parcel for a lot of the stuff he does. That's why he's always tried to say that they find themselves in this new kind of paradigm, MAGA communism. It's great. You get to hate all the social things that you hate domestically, minorities, POC, queer folk. You get to hate on them all you want. And at the same time, we're not imperialists, though. We're not American imperialists, okay? We want to dismantle the imperial core and then make a new kind of core, but one that's going to help bring about the multipolar world, which will rise, which will, again, be a unification of, say, maybe China, Russia, possibly Brazil, depends how they play along with us, and then I guess America again, but America 2, the 3, the better version, the new communist America, MAGA communa, is going to take over, and then that's going to align with the rest of the world in this. And if you can see the way that modern day Russia treats queer people, very draconian, very aggressive, and obviously not something that I think is out of place for someone like Jackson Hinkle, who is, again, doing all these photo ops in Russia, writing Russian tanks with the letter Z on them and stuff. It's just wild.
I followed Hinkle at the start when he was still your fan. I was there when he started becoming MAGA communist after the Russia invasion. He go full mode. He's the biggest grifter, but super manipulative. The sad part, he's going to even become bigger and more known, shaking my head. I like that he's like, oh no, it's not that I don't believe you that the Nazis were all trans. It's that I don't believe trans people can do the blitzkrieg, which almost succeeded. My dad was ethnically cleansed out of the West Bank in 1967. But if the guy is pro-Palestine, I might have to switch sides. Yeah, so that's the thing. I do legitimately believe that this dude is like he has to be like some State Department trickery to like make to the Western world, make it look like to the Western world that he's like, this is the beacon of like leftist conversations or something. Like, I just don't know. I mean, he was an op for Russia for a while. That part is actually true. I think Hinkle is a Malpinoid spanking cult member. I don't know enough about him, and I don't. You don't gotta show this, man. I have no.
There it is. I forgot about that. He was one of the top of the hour people. So if you don't know, Hassan has a contract with Twitch where every hour on the hour he has to play ads and has to announce that he's playing ads as part of his contract. And then superfans who are really, really, really into Hassan will play along with him in chat and be like, top of the hour, everybody, top of the hour, the ad. So that was Jackson Hinkle. Jackson Hinkle is one of those people. He was like, it's one thing to be like, I'm supporting Hassan because it's nice to see a big leftist streamer get so famous, but it's another thing to be like straight up in the chat every hour being like, oh, my boy's making that bag, top of the hour. Fucking get it, daddy.
Thanks for this. I don't. Okay, I'm cooked. It's real. This is not a fucking meme. God, I wish it was a meme, but it's not. This
both.
motherfucker was doing top of the hour ad break debase and shit in the chat. Like, that's how deep in the cut he was. Remember when you said the audience reflects the streamer? Yeah, I don't think he's an audience member now. I think he was probably fine back then with his takes. How did he become so well known in the last 3 years? I don't know. Maybe because when you grift to the fucking right, they celebrate you unconditionally. Hello, he is a walking, talking, permanent proof of that fundamental thing that I bring up all the time. If you want to grift, you grift to the right, dumb fucks. You don't grift to the fucking left. Absolutely no one fucking thinks that this guy's like a real leftist. He was a Jimmy Dore fan, and he had him on a lot. He left once you shit on Jimmy Dore. I remember this very well. Yeah, you guys might be more aware of what the fuck happened, but I suspect, yeah, it was maybe when I started shitting on Jimmy Dore. It all started with the Jimmy Dore forced to vote shit. He even debated Uncle Sam, then it was all downhill. Oh, dude, that's so funny. Some people genuinely do think he's a serious individual / real leftist. Yeah, dude, your uncle in like Indonesia, maybe. He went on Fresh and Fat and lied and told him he knows you. Wait, what? Yet another case of a one-sided beef. Perm, so desperate for viewers, you're leeching off the Hasanabi Discord. Don't quit your day job, brother. Well, it turns out Gorbachev was wrong. Okay, so who's really owned here? He did quit his day job, and guess what happened? He's become very successful as a right-wing grifter. So sorry, Gorbachev, that's a L on you. Everyone who grifts to the left finds that the left has too many critical thinkers to make that happen. So after they crash and burn, they have their why I left the left and they tack far right. Is the topic?
I get, like, jokes aside, memes aside, I think also what a lot of this comes down to is ultimately, and I've said this before, in terms of people who are grifting or trying to slide to different ideologies or trying to find out where is the most lucrative place for me to position myself and my politics, if you actually care about leftist shit, if you actually, like, if that's something that you believe, it's most likely because you got to that point in your life from reading, discovery, watching, listening, whatever it was, and figuring out how the entirety of the world works, and then you get to this point, and then that's basically a decision moment for you. You know, which way, human, and that decision point is going to be, okay, so if you understand how this works, do you think that it is justifiable, say, to exploit other people's labor in order to make a profit, and in order to do that, you are the job creator? That's how you justify that to yourself. If you get to that point, then you're like, okay, fine, I agree that there are problems with capitalism, but ultimately, when it gets down to it at its very core, I still think it's done so many good things in the world that I'm ultimately going to be in that camp. I'm going to kind of position myself as, say, a liberal who I agree with some forms of social justice, some civil rights. I think that we shouldn't discriminate on people based on the color of their skin. So the answer to that is maybe to have a couple of programs, initiates, and stuff like that to try and, you know, lower the amount of inherent racism in society. That, sure, I will agree to a point, has a certain amount of stuff, but at its core, you're actually asking yourself, does might make right, right? Like, do you have a right to invade a sovereign nation and then take it over and then colonize that area based on the fact that you have a more powerful force, that you were a stronger, basically, civilization, whatever you want to call it, right? If you get to that point, then yeah, there's going to be people who at that moment are like, okay, well, if I understand how the world works, I've figured out a lot of the elements of it. Now at this point, okay, I'm going to advocate or try to work towards maybe more equality, more justice, and that's not going to have anything to do with my audience. That's just because this is how I see the world. So I could say things that sometimes aren't super popular. You could say things that sometimes don't get you all the clicks or the likes, but ultimately, I'm sorry, that's just like, this is at its core the truth, and I don't want to go against that. So it doesn't matter, right? If people are willing to, say, completely change all their politics and beliefs to suit whatever media empire is going to be the most lucrative to them, that's their beliefs. That's what they're looking for. I mean, you could go and do a whole kind of like philosophical deep dive into their brains and try to like armchair them. But like when it really comes down to its core, it wasn't about what they believed in terms of politics. It was like, well, yeah, I want to do this for a living. I like watching other people on the internet talk and then have their opinions seen by thousands of people in the chats and stuff. That looks fun. They seem to get paid well at the highest level. So I want to do that. So how do I get there? You know, I might start out doing some of this, try some of this. That didn't work out as well. Oh, this is really working out. Okay, now we're big, we're bigger, we're huge, and now I'm libs of TikTok kind of thing, right? Does that mean that they have some deep-seated core hatred and understanding of the queer experience like Higher Ed Chick doesn't seem to have? No, but it makes a lot of money. You got there, right? At the end.
Guy to try to talk sense into, like the ones you mentioned earlier, is he lost cause? No, he's 100% a lost cause. because he never had a cause. His cause is him, and just like promoting and
True.
uplifting himself. Bro, look at this conversation that took place, my man. Your theory that Hinkle is a Fed, not entirely unfounded. Jackson Hinkle attended big donor Republican meetups with some of the richest fascists in the U.S. and is likely a part of Tulsi Gabbard's U.S. Army PSYOP division, which can be found on her Wikipedia page. Seriously, you see an open Marxist-Leninist become the second most viewed individual on person on Twitter, and your reaction is to cast them out? Of what? You have nothing else going on. Yeah, dude. He's popping on Twitter. Every single person that, like...
Also, I mean... What makes Jackson Hinkle Marxist-Leninist outside of the sounds? Like him saying, I am a Marxist-Leninist. What in terms, like, he uses a lot of buzzwords. I've heard him talk ill of the Imperial Core, for example. I've heard him say that, and, you know, we have to form alliances with, you know, other people who are opposing the American Empire. I've heard him say that. I haven't heard him actually do any kind of lectures or professions about wanting to really adhere to the values and principles of Marxist-Leninism.
Isn't out here to say, like, if you make a phone, like, we're gonna make these like a public commodity, or like a toothbrush or something. Yeah. It's not about that. Like, that's Hassan Piker. That's Hassan Piker's like yes, we're gonna have publicly produced toothbrushes or something. Like, this guy's...
You can't see it because, unfortunately, I'm covering his face right now, but there's one thing I know about Hassan. It's non-stop advocating for publicly produced toothbrushes. That's been the core of his entire aesthetic, you know? That he's taken away some of his giant props, the giant tooth, and the big old toothpaste man character that everyone knows and loves. But yeah, that's basically it. Communism is when communal toothbrush. That's so funny that Jackson Hinkle would say this, because there's clips of Jackson Hinkle when he was basically trying to be one of those fucking, like, yeah, I just slay fucking the puss style characters on Twitch, where he's talking about how he would force women to use the same toothbrush over and over and over. That was one of his... It's disgusting. Yeah, absolutely disgusting. Deplorable behavior. But he would brag about that. Like, oh yeah, I care so... I respect women so little that every single woman who comes by my place has to use the same toothbrush and they don't know it. And that's fucking disgusting. Not even just like if you're like, oh, I do this because I guess your fetish is being a misogynist. That's your fetish or something. Cool, bro. But that's also really gross for you if you're basically giving like other people swamp mouth and then making out with them and then I assume hooking up with them afterwards. I just, like, again, the whole thing. It's, I don't know if you thought that one through. I think in pursuant of being the fucking, you know, the ultimate piece of shit, you are in fact going to be getting some sickness of your own. But
I have two toothbrushes. One is for me, and one I use for every other chick that I bring over to my house, and I tell them that it's a new toothbrush and it's...
Okay, sorry, I misspoke. He actually has a strategy so he can avoid himself getting sick from this weird-ass procedure. But everything else remains. So in terms of what I do, yeah.
only for them. So it's kind of smart because that's the type of shit that's the type of shit that...
Also, this is incredible. Like, how did you fuck up the Richard Spencer?
Howdy everybody. I just wanted to let you know that for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can unlock bonus uncensored episodes of Mind Explosions by going to patreon.com/theserfs. Our videos couldn't exist without your support, and all our content is released early to our Patreon subscribers, as well as a ton of extra content you can't get anywhere else. Please like, subscribe, and thumbs up this channel, and if you're feeling extra perky, share it anywhere you think people would like to see or learn from our videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We first want to give a shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. This program is produced thanks to the generous support of our Patreon supporters: Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbar Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Bomey, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Travis McClinton, and Words Greenwood, as well as every other person you see on the screen right now. This show would not be possible without them. And if you want to join these wonderful people who make this entire program possible, simply go to patreon.com/theserfs and you can unlock uncensored and bonus episodes and, you know, help us exist.